So, oh yeah, I'll chip pick someone now. Deadpool.
Hi. Big fan of you guys. Question, I've heard that...
Deadpool likes us!
I've heard that from a lot of my creative writing classes in college that you are never your best critiquer. In other words, you should probably hand it off to someone else before you submit it for your reviews or whatever. How do you guys go about that? Do you consult anybody about whether this is funny? Should I take this out? Is it too long?
That's a really good question.
There have been a couple of instances where I thought, this is going to be the video that ruins me. My God, this isn't funny. Why do you people think the Sci-Fi review is funny? Yeah, there have actually been a lot of reviews that I've done with like, oh God, I really wish I could do better. And then people are like, oh, this is so funny, this is hilarious, I love this joke. Like, okay. But sometimes I will consult some other people, usually Spoonie actually. I love talking with him on Skype and just asking him, is this funny? Or I'll ask for a joke. For example, actually one thing that was cut out of the Batman Fortunate Son review, there was another minute-long rant at the very end, right after pause bit, where I was just like, trying to go more into like the true spirit of rock and roll, and it sucked. It was dumb, it was preachy, I was just basically doing the same thing that the comic was doing. So on the recommendation of Bennett, Spoonie, and someone else, I can't remember who, they all said, no, cut, it really is too much at the end. So I cut that out, and I think the review's stronger for it.
Yeah, I always try to show somebody, usually my brother, he's a really good critique, though it is funny because every time, if there's anyone who knows this more, it's him, because he'll constantly say, you know, I don't think it's one of the stronger ones, I don't know, I'd be careful with this one. Of course, it'd be a huge hit. And then one that, like, we both really love, like, we think this is one of the best reviews we've ever done, like, people have, like, a bajillion problems with it and stuff. So every time I show it to him, he'll come up and he'll just be like, well, I think it's okay, so of course everybody will love it. And then after that, like, if he sees one that's great, it's like, I think it's one of our best ones. It's gonna bomb. You know, so, but it's still good to show people, and I think it's good to show, like, a variety of people, just to get different takes on it. But something that's very important, don't be ruled by them either. It's good to take critiques, and it's good to listen, but don't let it determine everything, because you cannot please everybody. Especially, you'll find that if your audience does get wider and wider, the views just get wider and wider, and more harsh and more, this was funny, and this is not, then the other team saying, oh, this is funny, and this is not. I like more serious, I like more comedy, you just can't please everybody. So probably the number one rule in all of this, really, if you're going to do online reviewing, is that you have to love it. I mean, you have to just, because there's a very big probability you won't make it, because, I mean, I think we can both say a lot of it's luck. There is a lot of luck, you know, put in there. It's talent, but it's also luck. And if it turns out you don't make it, you have to at least say, you know what, I love to do it anyway, and I'm proud of it anyway. So I think that's definitely very important. So I think, in a lot of ways, it's good to show it around, because you can be your own worst critic, but also, if you're not loving it, a lot of other people are going to see that too. So it's very, very important for you to always enjoy it.
One last thing, actually I do premiere my videos with my parents every week first, and it's always a mixed bag, because they're not really nerds. I mean, they would never go to an anime convention or any kind of convention like this, and they have hated a few of my episodes. They have honestly said, like, the Amazon Attack prologue video, this is going to be terrible. This is going to be the one. My dad did say once that this is going to be the video that ruins you.
What's the word?
They say these things because they love me, because they want to be helpful, but they're not always right. Sometimes there'll be a joke that people that they think this will be the joke that people latch onto, and they're right. Other times they will say, this is going to be something terrible, and it's going to be a thing, and sometimes they're right. Sometimes. But yeah. You sir.
I was wondering mostly about the technical side of things. What type of microphones do going to use when reviewing?
Well, Lewis would love to answer that question.
My camera has no microphone jack. Neither camera I've used has a microphone jack, and that's because for some bizarre reason, cameras with microphone jacks in them are like over $1,000. Yeah, and it's not good for people, and it's not really useful for people who want to start out doing this kind of thing. But on that note, you don't necessarily need a great microphone for doing reviews, because hey, look at us. If you plant the camera right in front of you and talk into it, the onboard mic on the camera will usually pick you up pretty well, and you can listen to that. Spoonie's got like a really impressive camera. His fans like donated like $3,000 to him, and he got a really nice camera out of it because he felt it was necessary. And he has like a boom mic. He has actually a really nice setup for what he does. But on the technical side of things, mine is a JVC HD kind of camera. I really can't remember the name of it, but it's small. I would really recommend if you want to start, if you're just starting out, yeah, you can get a fairly cheap camera, something in the $200, $300 range. Maybe something that takes tapes, but eventually, if you get enough to support yourself with it, go to a higher def camera, and something that will save you a whole ton of time, go digital. You do not get off of tapes, because tapes are expensive. They have to constantly reuse, and eventually tape quality degrades over time. And here's Doug.
I use tapes.
We disagree.
No. But actually, I have been told that we're looking into getting a one that's digital. But and I do, and there's a lot of truth that the tapes do eventually break down, and you don't find out until after you've filmed it and you got the glitches, and so it's like, okay, you have to edit around this. So there's a lot of truth to that. And yeah, I think the camera I use is like a Sony high def 43,000 blah blah blah. I don't know. The programs, you use Adobe Premiere, right?
Adobe Premiere Element 7.
And I use CS5. So the Premiere for the most part work pretty well. The older ones definitely have glitches, so I would recommend definitely getting the newest ones. Something I found out is if you're guys eventually be making a lot of videos, don't have Windows Media Player on your computer, because actually that's what we found out has been causing a lot of the problems with Premiere. It has not been mixing well, and it's been causing like a lot of glitches ever since we got rid of it, or we sort of, it got onto another side, or like a drive that we don't use. It's been working a lot better. So I definitely say that's a little technical thing to keep in mind.
Well, that actually is a case of differing technologies. Adobe products are very tricky. They want to run everything for you. They want to do everything for you, and it's hard to describe what the problem is with Adobe products, because they're efficient but crappily designed. It's hard to say what it is. If you're using, here's the thing, general tip for anyone making video reviews: save often.
Yes, very often.
Very, very often. If you make like even the minors of change, just save it. Because you will feel a lot happier when you finish like an hour's worth of work and then the program crashes, and then you will not say, I have to do this all over again!
And the thing with Premiere also is that a lot of times, sometimes if it does get glitchy, it won't always autosave. I have an autosave for like every. It just depends. Like if it really looks like it's running good, I'll have it like every 5 minutes. If it's running bad, every 1 minute. I'll literally have it. And so no, you just saved, and all the time. But it's like I'm not going to lose this stuff. I don't have to do this stuff again. So that's very good advice to say.
You and the black hat.
How close to script do you stay?
I stay fairly close to script most of the time. There's the occasion where I'm better with scripted. There are times when I will be reading off a sentence and I'm like, this is the clumsiest sentence I've ever written. I'm gonna just like take a minute and just think of a better way to say this. Okay, there, I got it. Sometimes I'll add in jokes that I think of afterwards. For example, anytime you see like a text joke that pops up over the panel, That's usually a joke I think of right afterwards, but I don't feel like having to go back and add it in just for verbally, because it'll interrupt the flow of the review. Otherwise, yeah, I usually tend to stay pretty close to script.
Yeah, actually the exact same with, the only time I improvise if I'm reading the script and I'm like, oh, this could use, like that doesn't sound right. Like you said, I wrote that horribly, I have to do this better. Well, for the nostalgia critics anyway, everything else is improvised. Like the Assay guides are improvised, bum reviews are improvised. One is just an issue of time, it does take time to write it. And two, it's just, I think with those characters, it's much funnier if I just don't think about it. If I don't think about the jokes, like, just the first thing that comes to my head, say it, and then just edit it together and never look back. Yeah, Video Game Confessions, I have a story arc planned out, but what exactly I'm going to say is sort of made up on the spot. So, yeah, it sort of varies, but Nostalgia Critics, yeah, are very, very tightly scripted. Once in a while to do improv, but yeah, it's pretty closely to the script.